vegans say you don't need dietary cholesterol, and eating them will kill you. and cholesterol, not the lipoproteins used for, and where any health benefits that, well, about 40% of your cells are made of cholesterol. They basically provide, if you didn't have cholesterol, you wouldn't be able to hold fluids inside the cell. That means you wouldn't be able to hold any fluids. You'd have leaky cells. They'd be like with all holes and leaky. And that would be a problem. They wouldn't function properly. So, yeah, cholesterol is extremely important. It's used in the immune system, to build up components of the immune system. So, yeah. Actually, cholesterol, when you're actually fighting a pathogen or some disease, cholesterol actually drops in the system quite a bit. People's LDL-C can drop to very low levels. We see that. I did it's on Odyssey, on the Odyssey channel of Bart Kays. I did a thing on the Tsimane tribal people who have got have to deal with a lot of pathogens in their environment. And even though they eat massive amount of saturated fats, where you'd think that LDL-C would be much higher, especially with the ApoE4 genes that they primarily have, a lot of these tribal people, they're in the toilet primarily because they're constantly fighting all these pathogens in their environment. So, cholesterol's extremely important. As long as LDL is not oxidized, ox-LDL is the problem, native LDL isn't the problem. And it's usually people consuming seed oils, rancid oils, like someone we know. Yes, say no more. And it's that's going to cause the problem. That's what's going to kill you. I mean, all they've got is some stupid, retarded research, which is epidemiological based on the general public that consumes seed oils, all of them. People that eat more fast foods, obviously they're going to be eating more junk food as well, and some animal products which are combined with this junk food, like pizza, McDonald's burgers with the fries that are being cooked in seed oils. Say no more. And a lot of glycation with high fructose corn syrup drinks that are going to glycate the insides of you completely and create a lot of rancid, So I'd say, really? It's just nonsense. If dietary cholesterol was not necessary, our bodies wouldn't produce it. Even if you don't consume it, the body will produce up to 85%. Most vegans are deficient in cholesterol. That is why they have a lot of connective tissue issues. And it shows. And they have atrophy in their bodies. And it shows. Say no more. My father got hit by a vehicle at 88 and a half. Got severely bruised. But didn't have not even a fracture. Where that Vagoon doctor walks out of the shower and snaps his ankle. Garth Davis, the guy that loves goats, as Sean Baker would say. He really loves goats, apparently. So, yes, that Vagoon doctor. So, yes, you don't need cholesterol? You don't need protein? No, I wonder. Yes, good luck to you, mates. Yeah, it's just nonsense. The N15 data, if anybody says to you, what is the species appropriate diet? Check the bone collagen structures of our ancestors, N15 and delta-13 carbon. That means grass-fed animals we were consuming primarily. It's a slam dunk. We don't even have to argue the point with the Vagoons, with the current science, because the current science is all epidemiology. It's on sick people, people that end up in hospital that are on standard shit diets. And they compare them with vegetarian communities, which are just as sick, but not as sick as the general. And so they have, and then they don't even use like real sort of levels of difference, they use relative numbers. That means they take the amount of incidences in this group, that means of whatever, and the amount of incidences in this group. That doesn't tell you what's caused those incidences, whether it's heart disease or whatever. Obviously, we know that sad dieters consuming a whole lot of seed oils and sugars and all that, and engaging the Randall cycle, and that's why they're getting sicker than these fagoons that are doing low fat and engaging the Randall cycle less. So, but they fall apart in other ways because of nutrient deficiency over the time. But getting back to the thing, their arguments are basically on these epidemiological studies. And their odds ratio, what they call risk ratio, which is wrong, is less than 2. It's like, oh, it's 37% from processed meat or 17% from regular meat. That's statistical noise. That's all it is. Just for a hypothesis, you need an odds ratio in epidemiology, observational research, of 2 to 3. That's what you need. Do they have that? No. Comes nowhere near that level, just for the hypothesis, let alone to infer causality, not proving, inferring. So I have to drink this at 8 o'clock. Sorry. I went down a bit the wrong way. Quick. So been drinking that too late. Anyway, now, so their whole argument is just wrong in that regard. I've got a bit of tingle in my my damn throat. Annoying. So their arguments are completely illogical. And the so-called risk ratios, which are odd ratios in statistics, are less than 2. So that's statistical noise. It's irrelevant. Just to infer causality, not prove causality, infer. Depending on which epidemiologist you talk to, you have to have anywhere between 6 and 10. That's thousands of percent, hundreds of thousands of percent of difference. Where it's so strong that there is no reverse association anywhere in the literature. Like with the tobacco studies. In every single group that they've actually researched, there's always been cancer. Different rates of cancer in the groups, but always for people that smoke, lung cancer. Always found. That means there is no reverse causality or reverse association. When you look at populations that eat only animal foods primarily, like the Inuit and all that, you don't see cancer, cardiovascular disease until you get to the modern age. What does that tell you? It's reverse. And if it's reversed, it can't be causal, because something that is causal has to always associate every single time. Bradford Hill set up the Bradford Hill criteria for epidemiology. And still many crackpots out there, vagoonerized crackpot academics, say that they adhere to the Bradford Hill criteria, but they don't, because they do not establish the inference accordance to the actual criteria of Bradford Hill. They fail on many things. I've done a few studies to show their inconsistencies, and Barkay's actually shown where they've actually deliberately adjusted the actual the data. So you look at the raw data and then you look at the adjustments done to the raw data, and it shows a 180-degree difference in what the outcomes that they are because these are predictors. They haven't actually proven, they're just predictors, show, which is just crap. Some of the researchers are even more horrendous than that. I mean, these people are just off the pale completely. they use a thing called the ORAC, values. And these ORAC values, obviously plants have antioxidants. So if a plant has an antioxidant, even a polyphenol, it gets a higher ORAC value. None of the animal foods are going to have anything. So they get practically zero. And then they compute this in, they make adjustments to the data, and that's how they can reverse at 180 degrees. Fantastic. That's called science. No, that's fabrication of reality. You've observed something and then you've adjusted it and you fabricated something new which you haven't observed, but you want to basically claim that that's what you observed when you didn't, because that's not what the raw data shows. It'd be like I'm taking a measurement of a pulsar and then I get a certain measurement. I go, it doesn't really fit my theory, does it? Shit. What am I going to do? Oh, yeah, I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to change the measurement so it fits my theory. Oh, voila. I'm a superstar. I'm correct. Yes, that's called fabrication. It's called dishonesty. It's called lying in my book, So they may call it adjustments. I call it fabrication. I call it dishonesty, lying, and pulling the wool over people's heads.